So welcome to Physics 1050, How Things Work. I'm Lou Bloomfield. I created this course long before nearly all of you were born, and have been doing it ever since. So we'll spend the next 14 weeks or so looking at objects of everyday life and finding physics in them. So I'll start off today talking about the course, and then we'll start going into, so I'll talk about the course first, then we'll start doing the course. And you'll see, just spoiler alert, the course is about objects in everyday life. And the first object is skating. So down the road I'll get to skating and look at the physics in skating, but hear about the course. So first, what's physics? And actually, before I even do that, let me say that for years I did PowerPoint slides, and there's a PowerPoint slide up there. I get boxed in by the PowerPoint slides. They're on the web. You're welcome to download them. I'll get to that in a minute. And you sort of can see things that I have in mind. But for a number of reasons, I'm mostly going to talk and show you stuff and discuss stuff with you. So on the web somewhere is this introduction to the class, but here it is, just spoken. So what's physics? Physics is an examination of the real world, the world in front of us, trying to understand it, model it, explain it, and use the results of those explanations to predict things that haven't happened yet. So you can start to systematize the physical world. It addresses primarily how and why questions. So I'm going to stop. How and why questions, that is, as opposed to what, where, when type questions. So when was Newton born, which I have no idea off the top of my head, is not a physics question, but how did Newton just come up with the concepts of gravity? Also not exactly physics, but how does an apple fall? That is a physics question. And so we'll look at a lot of how and why questions and sort of try to go through and explain the world that way. And I view this physics in general as a part of sort of general literacy, certainly scientific literacy. So understanding the world around you, I hope you will find valuable. Yes, this is an area requirement type of class and a survey type class, but if you set all the stuff aside regarding higher education, college, and getting your degrees and getting your grades and whatever, finally, you're going to actually live in the real world. You have been for a while. You're going to continue to do that. And I'm going to try to teach you some tools for a living, just some things that actually will be useful. And if I don't succeed in doing any of that, then this whole it's not an event, but a whole process. It's been a waste of time for some of us. Okay, so that's one of my goals. Physics is also woven through everyday life, particularly modern life. It's become part of all this technology stuff that you're enmeshed with. And it is and provides explanations for and understandings and ways to deal with a lot of issues that you're going to deal with in your generation. For example, climate change and climate issues, energy, a lot of these things. We'll be dealing with that stuff. And so hopefully this will give you, essentially inform you when it comes to making decisions about things that matter and that you got to live with. All right? It's the physics, so this class is a sort of a different sort of physics class. The traditional physics class, which many of you will have already taken, and we'll come back to that. Whether you've taken it or not, it turns out doesn't matter. The ordinary physics class tends to look at sort of principle by principle by principle. It's a very systematic approach in the minds of physicists, but it's kind of not so necessarily valuable to you all. In particular, it has very few applications. So it wanders through the principles of physics, and what do you do with this? Well, you leave it back in the classroom at the end of the semester. Woohoo, we're done. All right. Hopefully this will not be that kind of course. And to make it not that kind of course, I've kind of reversed the whole order. We'll look at objects. We'll look at applications first, And essentially on a need-to-know basis, we'll go in and look and find the physics. You know, obviously, I pick the topics strategically so that we find physics in a reasonable order. We don't just like jump right into something that's way, you know, that's beyond me. You know, that won't help much at all. It's essentially case study physics then. So that's what we do. We're going to do a whole bunch of cases. And if I can get you all talking, and I should start right off the bat, I'm happy to answer questions. That's the whole point of the classroom, is to have some discussion of stuff. If all you want to do is watch me perform up here, you know, we can, and I have, and whatever, video me and just play me back. And I can just go off and sip mid-julep somewhere on a porch. Okay, so hopefully before long we'll get interaction going, and I got ways to deal with that too. So, and I'll come back to it. What else? So we're going to do case study physics. And the other thing about this approach of looking at objects and looking at things and trying to explain them is that's actually how science is found. Science is not discovered principle by principle in some systematic way. It's taught kind of that, it's taught that way as though that was the way it was. It has to be done that way. I don't know how it happened. It's kind of like, it's like the encyclopedia was assembled piece by piece, and then, okay, we're going to go from the A's to the Z's. That's a crummy approach in my view. And in reality, science, physics specifically, was discovered on a need-to-know basis in the context of something. So Newton was trying to compare the moon's movement with an apple's movement. And are these both gravity? And in fact, they are, and much happened as a result of that thinking. So we'll do something of the same. What else? My goals for this class. I hope you'll develop understanding and intuition about the world around you. Some things you already know, they do this already. They do this, but we'll sort of explain why. And some things, it's easy to misunderstand how they do things. And so we'll be trying, I hope, to change your worldview about how certain things happen. They don't actually happen the way you sort of try to explain it to yourself. It took many years and many very clever people to figure out how the world works. And there are certain things that are not intuitive and easy to misunderstand, and we'll try to work on those. I hope you'll end up appreciating science and physics in your world. You'll start to see it. It's not just something that lives in the academy. It's actually out there, useful. It does stuff. And you can also start to understand the world around you, the universe around you, is predictable, understandable. It's not magic. It's not completely predictable, and that itself is an interesting observation. There are certain aspects of it that are in fact statistical and beyond, and the quantum stuff, which this semester we don't get to, basically. But it's unpredictable in a predictable way, which is kind of cool. What else? Hopefully you'll come away from this enjoying some aspects of science and physics rather than fearing it. It's somehow we've developed this culture of fearing science and stuff. It's not. One thing about this class, there are many ways to teach physics classes, and you can teach them as magic shows. Ooh, this is so cool, look at this, wow, okay? And blow away the audience by just do fun and games but explain nothing. That's a waste of time. Or you can deliberately blow away the audience. Oh, this is so hard, you'll never understand it, but I will stoop to try to pretend I can explain it to you. All that stuff is just a waste of time. Well, I mean, it's entertaining, at least the first one, not the second one. I mean, unless you want to throw spitballs. But my point is basically to do unmagic. So the whole class is a big unmagic show. Give away all the secrets. So everything that I tried to do or talk about, the point is to have you understand as much of it as we can do. And if I show you something and you don't understand it, then I've failed. I wasted the time. I did a magic trick. All right, so I'm going to try to do lots of unmagic tricks. So there's some expectations about this class. It's conceptual. It's truly conceptual. When I was, back in my younger days, I thought physics without quantitative, without numbers basically, or quantities measured was like, what is that? That's a joke. Well, no, it's not. Truly conceptual physics, really that is understanding why things happen the way they happen, whether you can calculate how fast that's going or not. Understanding it is hard. It's hard even for physicists. It took them a long time, it took me plenty long time to get to understand it well. So that's where we're going to focus. You will not need calculators. There will be very few numbers in there over the course of the semester. If there is a number in there, it's more often than not 0, my favorite number. It's like the only one that's really interesting. All the other numbers are like, specific. Who cares? 3.2. Who ordered that? So, we'll do it almost all without the calculations. Good news, bad news. For many people, the calculations are what they can do because their calculator can crank it out. Put in a 3. What's the M? Oh, 3. Okay, what's the F? And you get a number and you get an A. Whoo, this is great. We're not going to have much of that. You have to actually understand what the heck happened. All right? So, not much calculating, not much memorizing. We're memorizing. There are a few words or names of things, physical quantities, for example, that are worth knowing the name. We got to name it something. And knowing the name is actually kind of important. So you already know some of these words already, like speed. Okay, pick a simple one. It's a word you've heard before. Well, we've got territory to cover, but those are the things, the few things to memorize. There'll be like 2 formulas that I care about that are worth remembering. Memorizing is kind of the wrong word for it. And everything else, names not very important. Memorizing not very important. All right? Understanding very important. I assume no prior study of physics. And some of you will think, it comes up during the course of the semester, I've never taken physics before, I'm at a huge disadvantage over everybody else. The dirty little secret is that a lot of people have taken physics, and this is not everybody, and this is not everybody in this room for sure, have taken physics, but they really don't know what's going on. It blew past them in various ways, and it's remembered. If you're in this category, you may well be able to self-identify, okay? So it doesn't matter whether you've taken physics or not. In fact, physics majors would benefit from a course like this. It's not part of the system, but I'll say it anyway. So that said, to switch gears for a second here, 2 things that are worth pointing out about the class, having sort of giving you some introduction to it. I did put out these sheets. This is just essentially a print version of what's online. So there are more of them out here. If you don't have one, it's, get it after class. It's just to remind you of sort of the policy type issues and the schedule of things approximately, and where to find my website. UVA Colab, if you go to UVA Colab for this class, which all of you are automatically tossed into, you can find the link to my website. I like to maintain my own website in part because I want it world accessible instead of hiding behind NetBadge. So I run it, and then I can edit it more at my leisure and do whatever the heck I want with it. So a few things to point out from this. Obviously, when the class meets and where it meets. My office hours. I actually like seeing you all. You will discover, and some of you already discovered that I try to learn everybody's name and at least maybe something about them, about you all. If all I'm doing is tossing stuff out there to a plastic audience, it's nothing for me, and it's not very good for you. So I'm going to try to interact with you, okay? So bear with me if I go, oh, I know your name, and I can't do it. I've gotten better by just admitting defeat instead of like spending the next 20 minutes trying to tear it out of the dustbin in my head, okay? But come to my office hours. I hold my office hours on Mondays and Wednesdays officially. The secret is you can find me other times too, but let's keep it under control. But on Mondays I go over to Alderman Library, assuming they're not tearing it apart yet. after class, about 3 to 5. And on Wednesdays, I'm in my office downstairs. So come and find me, okay? I don't buy, it's actually, it's an educational institution. It's not just a degree granting thing. So this is part of what at least used to be the educational experience. The course materials, it's the online book written by me, and the homework system associated with the book. There, good news, bad news with that one too. You'll hear my voice too many times in a sense. So that is my written voice, my spoken voice, my way of thinking of things. You will find value in talking to each other about the stuff. There is nothing like hearing an idea that one of your fellow students has just really gotten to understand in their voice, because they'll explain it in a way I can't do anymore. I can remember some of what it's like not to have a clue about what this is, just not understanding that, but I can't do it perfectly. And furthermore, I have my style of everything. Okay, so talk to each other. If you don't have any, if you don't know people in here, introduce yourself early on. I've tried to organize stuff like that, but those introductions and the meetings and stuff, it doesn't work well. I've never managed to pull it off well, so I've never, I'll let you do it. And again, speak up in class, please. What else? A reason I brought this up is associated with speak up in class. For years, I tried to fight electronic gadgets. I tried to make this Victorian classroom. No transistors here, which you don't even, that's not even a dated word, okay? No electronic gadgets, no smart devices. It was a losing battle. There was a time when I put a GoPro camera in one of those openings in the back of the room, filming forward. There actually now is a camera up there filming forward if you want, but I don't use it. But anyway, I filmed forward, and it was a bloodbath. Watching all the people, particularly in sort of the back of the room, who were simultaneously watching a movie and talking on their phone and texting. Like one person multitasking, and I don't think I was much of that. So try to keep your use of the gadgets apart from like note-taking stuff under control. I know this is part of your modern life culture, Generation Z, I think. It's a big issue. However, rather than like trying to control it, I will tell you the old story of when phones first started showing up in here. When they would ring, I adopted a concept suggested to me by essentially a fellow teacher. If your phone rang, you had to get up and you had to sing a nursery rhyme of my choice with hand gestures. So like the I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Okay, that was a long time ago. Can't do that anymore. It's just a mess. All right. So that said, I started to embrace a little bit of the gadgets that you have, and one of them is, I know that for many of you, speaking up in a class this large is intimidating and tough in a zillion ways. Therefore, I was receiving text messages was last time I did this. I decided that the text messaging system is, what's going on here? I want to get me out of here. Text messaging is a little imperfect. So if you go to the website, my website, the one that's listed on this, it's Rabi, R-A-B-I is the, it's rabi.phys, P-H-Y-S, at virginia.edu. If you go to that, and it's 1050, should I show you this? I'll be really old school here. R-A-B-I. Isidore Rabi was a famous physicist. Virginia. I can't spell Virginia. EDU. And can you see? /1050. If you go there, and you're okay, you can do that right now if you want. There's a link a couple of lines down. Sort of, you'll see this side of the page. There's a link down there say, send a message in class. And the messages show up here, right? And some people already discovered it. Woo, look at that, okay? So if you're, I'd love to have your hand go up and go like, yes, that's like, you actually give me a comment, like, is the bicycle, does it behave the same way as a motorcycle, or what are the differences? We can talk about it. It's like, great. Yes, I know this. Okay? So, but I will try to pay attention to this. It can get, as you know, we can get into real problems with this thing. I have not put a filter. I haven't put a filter in yet for people outside of Charlottesville, but I might, because you know what'll happen. We'll start getting sold all kinds of stuff. I've got $12 million that was left to me by the president of the country, and I found you out of all the world to send it to. Just send me all your money, and I'll send you mine. Yeah. All right. So I will not always show you this. All right. So now, poof, the fun disappears. All right. But I will try to keep track. I mean, right now it's a problem. But okay. But down the road, if you've got a question, so in all seriousness, if you've got a question and you don't want to raise your hand about it, you don't want to speak up, do it this way. And I'll try to keep track of this. This is why I got this, the blinky light saying we're there. Okay? Clickers. The other thing is that I recommended that you have these devices called iClickers. It turns out the app doesn't work for heaven knows what reasons. It's not used here at UVA, but the clickers will allow you to answer questions that I have over the course of a class, and I have one now. So if you've got a clicker, you have to register it with Colab and stuff. You've got a clicker, so here's a question to look at. And one of the reasons why I gave up on slides is because I have to operate in the dark if I have the slides. The projectors and life are incompatible. So I've asked this kind of question forever. So here's the question. If you don't have an iClicker, who cares? The other thing is I don't grade the iClicker stuff. It's completely optional. If I grade it, here's again the dirty laundry. If I grade the iClicker stuff, then I drag people to class who don't want to be in class because they get credit for clicking. Either that or they send their friends with their clickers. I've had the person with the 8 clickers in front of them. So not good, waste of time. So I stopped doing that. And the consequence then is that they're just optional. All right, so background in physics. And I can turn this on. I guess I can drag this thing over here so you can at least see that it's real. How do I start? Start. Oh, it's going to be it's AA is the base code, just in case. See there, AA. Everybody okay? All right. So I'll close this, and if you got an answer to that question, let us know. And the amount of time that I allocate to a clicker question depends on the kind of question. So if you can click on in here. Actually, I've got this is not the question that I meant. Why did I have this question? Yeah. Anyway, let me stop it here, or I can show you the answers. Is that the majority of people are coming in here having taken a year of physics. There are a couple of people that work with Stephen Hawking. But that's typical. So the majority of you all, well, at least have taken some physics, which is fine. This is going to look at it so differently that you'll find that doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Okay? So let me stop this guy, get him out of there, and too many buttons. All right. Let me get that out of there. Go away. All right. Actually, I've got another clicker question. This is not the document I expected to get. Yeah, now I know I'm exposing things to all kinds of trouble here. No, somehow I gummed this up. Doesn't matter. This will work fine. Day one. So this is another question is sort of to think back to what you know of physics, and can you distinguish those pairs of physical quantities? And I'll start talking down the road about what a physical quantity is, but can you distinguish velocity from acceleration? Can you distinguish mass from weight and force from momentum? You okay with that? Let me start the polling on this. I'll show you it's, Okay, give you a few more seconds, then I can pop it up here. Okay, stop and all right. So it's spread out, but a fair number of people are in the might be able to probably able. All right. By the time we're done the next few classes, it should be everybody. I hope. Okay. So let me go back out of the dark. What else do I want to say as preparation here? Okay, so suggestions, things to do before and then I'll start talking about skating. Read through the syllabus. I mean, look at the paper version. Look at the version that's online. In principle, you're responsible, for example, for my policy page and stuff, but I have to have it. It's there. The textbook and the lectures. So the textbook is built into this Wiley Plus site that you all are probably getting emails from Colab and from Red Shelf about. To be in the class and to make progress, you have to have that, and because the homework's going to be on there. And so I encourage you to actually read about the topic. Having written the book, I teach the book. I teach the topics. So read about the topic before, as early as you can. As I say, you'll hear my voice more than once as a result. But it takes more than once to learn the physics, to understand the concepts. The first time, a lot of time, it just blows right by. So read the book. The other thing is, I flipped the classroom. Okay, so for a long time, that was just words to me, and I very recently decided to actually do it. So the official lectures for this class are videos online. They're on YouTube, linked to the schedule page. So that this schedule here, printed out, the online version has links to the class lecture videos. So you can go watch me talk through the topic. So I'll talk about skating and all the physics in skating. It's there. You can watch it at your leisure. You can watch it at double speed if you like, whatever you like. Okay, you can read the transcript, I think. You can get the closed captions and off it comes. Okay? That leaves us free here in class to move, to talk about the stuff, to answer questions, for you to have ideas about contexts where the physics concepts I'm talking about also fit. And I'm going to try to make use of that. Some of this is new to me, like new experience trying to do it. I see how well I can pull it off. But this is a giant discussion section in effect. All right? So you don't have to sit there like bumps on pickles. You can try to actually be here with me. All right? Furthermore, we film these classes. That camera up there is filming right now, and I'll post it online after class. So if you miss class, you can watch it online. You can do everything remotely. That takes discipline. A lot of people go, oh, I won't go to class today, I'll watch it online. And then when it comes online, I could be at a party or I could be watching that goofball online. Nah, party it is, right? Be careful, don't disappear. The class is not a trivial class, okay? The work for which you're responsible. is simple. 10 problem sets, which will appear on the Wiley Plus site. They'll be due almost always on a Wednesday. So right after my office hours in my office, that Wednesday morning office hours are in the morning for that reason. So they're due at class time on Wednesday. And they're truly due at 1 o'clock, not 1:02. It always happens. Deadlines are deadlines. They're not targets. You don't aim at them and try to hit 50% on one side, 50% on the other. Go early. 2 midterm exams, about a month apart. Month in we'll have one, month after that we'll have one, and then we'll have the final. The final is like a double midterm. In fact, one way to think about it is as though it were the third midterm, that's half of it, and the other half of the final exam is open season on the semester. And is it cumulative? Yeah, everything's cumulative. Physics is cumulative. Okay. We can talk more about the exams when they start showing up on the radar. Any questions, actually, at this point? So, all right. Last thoughts here. Okay. Other than asking questions and volunteering in classes, actually, I'll do a lot of demonstrations. Particularly this semester, it's a lot of demonstrations, showing you the physics of the real world, hopefully in the context of the real things. I can do all of them myself, some, not all, but I need volunteers from time to time, and so I hope you all will be there to volunteer for it, okay? The class room is open, available before and after class. There's no class scheduled immediately before or immediately after, so you can come and talk to me before or after class, and you can play with the toys. Try the experiments yourself. Some of them are very hard to appreciate unless you do it yourself. It looks, oh yeah, it looks like that, but if you do it, you feel the forces, for example. The back of the room is available for coming and going. If you're coming and going, the back is easiest. In reality, I don't. If you wander out the door like that, I barely notice. I don't multitask well. I get so focused, I can't. The world explodes, I'd still be here, talking away. All right. That's it. Okay. Any questions about the class sort of logistics, structure, concept? Go to the website, wander around a little bit. Oh, with respect to the exams. Zillions of old exams are there. They're available only if you're at a virginia.edu IP address, URL. But there is a way to get in them by way of a password, and I sent it to emails to essentially all of you guys, and it's on the CoLab site. You can see how to get into it from off grounds. From on grounds, you can look at the old exams, and I will, when it comes time, I'll encourage you to try them, basically to learn from them. All right. So with that then, let me switch over to doing the class. And the first topic is skating. And the first time, having just turned off that screen, I want to bring it right back and ask you this question. Not that question, this question. And for some reason I have not pulled up the PowerPoint that I wanted, which is part of why I get fed up with PowerPoint. So here's the question. It just doesn't seem to have anything to do with skating. A rotary lawnmower, and surely nearly all of you have seen or maybe even used a rotary lawnmower. It has a blade inside that spins around really fast, and it goes over the grass and cuts the grass. And the question is this. That blade is reasonably sharp, it spins over the grass and cuts the grasses off. Would the blade still cut the grasses if they were not rooted into the ground? So if they were loose, they were just sitting there standing up for some reason, and the blade came along, would the blade still cut the grass? You okay with the question? See what you all think. Those of you who have, again, clickers, only two choices, A and B. All right, I'll give you a few more seconds on this. Down the road, we'll do things like have you talk among yourselves to discuss the questions, but I don't want to burn up the entire 50 minutes that way. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And the majority are saying no. It's about 2 to 1. Okay? Can't cut the grass without the roots. So we'll come back to that question. That's one of the questions I do in 2 parts. Okay, so we did it once. So now start talking about the story, the topic at hand, which is skating. So why skating? Because skating, you spend a lot of time either not moving or moving steadily. And so it's a good context in which to sort of start to look at movement and some of the language regarding movement. And some observations about skating, and I can't skate. I could have Damon tootle around. The wheelie shoes, we may get there. The observations are these. So physics is all based on observations, finally. Yeah. That if you're at rest as a skater, and so I'll be a razor scooter skater here, when you're at rest, you tend to remain at rest. And in order to get moving, to stop being at rest, something's got to push on you, okay? On the other hand, if you are moving, you tend to keep moving, again, unless something pushes on you again. So, okay, I can lots of silly stuff, but the basic observations are, gee, things that are not moving tend to stay not moving, and things that are moving tend to stay moving. And let's flesh that out. And so we're going to flesh that out in the context of skating. And some of this is going to be at least sound like old hat, but hopefully it'll be informative. Okay. So series of questions. So the how and why questions, I said, were kind of the way in which physics looks at the world. And so I got a series of how and why questions. And you'll see them on the lecture slides if you pull them up and go there. I will do them today. I'll do them less and less as time goes by, while I start to shift the emphasis for the sheer content to the lecture videos and try to be illustrating them here. So, first question is, why does a skater that's at rest tend to stay at rest? And the answer is because. Well, so that's not a very good answer, but this is an observed behavior of our universe, is that things that are not moving tend to remain not moving. And you know where this goes. This is inertia. This is a half of inertia. It's the first half of inertia. The inertia is not a law, it's a concept. It's that things in our universe exhibit this concept of inertia, this behavior. And that is that if they're at rest, they tend to remain at rest. And we got to pin down the details, but that's the basic idea. They don't stay at rest because they're stapled down or glued or something's holding them. They stay at rest because it is their nature. And so the skater at rest, and why did I pick a skater? Because a skater, whether it's roller skates or whether it's ice skates, is freed up from nuisance effects that make life complicated. And the nuisance effect that I have in mind in this case is friction. Friction's in our future, but we're ignoring it today. And just as an aside about why skating, it's because it sets aside a number of nuisances that I don't want to deal with now. One of them is friction. We'll get there. Another one is gravity. Gravity, if the skater were skating on a ramp, it would be complicated, right? You don't normally you skate on flat things mostly. Certainly in ice skates, it's hard to make a sloping ice rink. So we're going to get rid of gravity. What else do we get rid of? Well, those are the two main ones. Oh, air resistance. No air resistance. We're going to set aside all the nuisances that we'll come to down the road. But for right now, life is simple. All we're going to look at is a skater on perfect ice. Things are great. No air resistance. None of the complications of the real world. And life is simple. Inertia is going to show up a lot. Okay, so inertia shows up in the first case with the skater on, for example, on ice, super duper slippery ice. The skater's at rest, the skater's going to stay at rest unless something comes and pushes on the skater. And again, not because the skater's glued there, but because that's the nature of objects in our universe. They exhibit this phenomena, this concept known as inertia. So my first demonstration has been for a zillion years. Moses liked this back in the bulrushes days. The tablecloth trick. Again, it's not a trick. It's not a magic trick. It's physics. It's just the way our universe works. In fact, physics sounds like, makes it too grandiose. It's just how our universe works. That objects that are at rest stay that way unless you push on them. And I'm going to not push on them much. I'm going to push on them a little. I mean, to talk this to death, which I always do, when I yank that tablecloth out from underneath them, which I will do, and hopefully they will stay there, because of inertia, it will pull on them a little bit because of friction. But I'm using a slick tablecloth, it's limp, and I'm going to pull fast. Speed matters because, yeah, they'll be pushed a little bit, but by keeping it short, the push doesn't have much effect. You know, it's like, ha, ha, didn't do anything, right? All right. So for those of you who want to try this after class, and please do, you can set aside the glass if you like. You come out far and then choke up so you get some room to get started. And you obviously don't pull up, right? You pull a little down. Ready, get set. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Yeah, once in a while, that's disappearing ink for good reason, because I've worn it once or twice. All right, so why did the objects stay there? You tell me. Inertia. It's their nature. I barely influenced them. They kept doing what they were doing. All right? Another example of an object at rest tending to stay at rest. So an apple. And, okay, the apple is not glued to the table. When I first started doing this demonstration, I did it like this. In fact, I did it like this. Okay. And I would take this nice knife and I would go, right. You know why I changed it. I moved away, and instead of swinging the knife, which is, I'm not that good, right? Never did fencing. Right. Okay, so I made a gadget to do it. So this knife, spring-loaded, is going to come at that apple very fast. And what do you think is going to happen to the apple? Right. Ready. Get set. Ooh. All right. You're a good audience. Yeah, it's fun. The apple stayed there because of inertia. That is its nature. The blade, being sharp and thin, manages to sneak through it with barely pushing on it, and again, for a very short period of time. And down the road, we'll see why time matters and why the amount of push matters. For now, it's just, things just tend to sit still. If you come at them fast, you can go right through them. All right? With that then, let me go back to, remember this question? Ding dong. All right, remember that question there? Lawnmower. Can the lawnmower, with its blade spinning fast, can it cut through the grasses even if they're not attached to the ground? Does that sound a little familiar? See what you think. All right, 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh, come on, where is it? Hey, rather large switch here, right? If you remember, when I first asked the question, it was 2-to-1 in favor of no, you can't cut the grass, it's not rooted. And now it's almost, well, went far beyond the other direction. And that's true. You can cut grass even when it's not rooted in the ground. I don't have any grass, but I got green linguine. Grasses. And now I can't do it like this. Actually, I'm going to do it like this. So I'm not going to hold them, but that doesn't mean that they won't be, I can't cut them. Okay? So there are a lot of half linguinis up here, and nothing was holding them. Gravity was around, it was a nuisance, but basically I can cut them anyway, because they remain in place because of inertia. So that's the first half of inertia. There's a second half to inertia. Second half is an object that's moving tends to continue moving. So if you think of a skater, and remember skater's the topic supposedly here at hand, a skater that's at rest tends to remain at rest unless something pushes on him. A skater that's moving tends to just keep moving. And why? It's another because. That's how our universe works. Objects that are moving tend to continue doing exactly what they're doing. In fact, as we'll get further through it, they tend to keep moving in a straight line at a steady pace to pin it down. So the steady pace is speed. They go they go at steady speed if you leave them alone. And the straight line is they go in the same direction. So it's steady speed, straight direction. As a preview, that's known as a constant velocity. Velocity brings together both speed and direction. You bring them together, it's steady. And I can show you this part of inertia as well. So, set aside the apples, go for the bananas. And now, the banana, if I could turn off gravity, and obviously it would be great if I could, can't do it, so I got to live with gravity. We'll get to gravity, but not today, and not even tomorrow, not even Friday. And if I could turn off gravity and let go of this, it's an object at rest. It would tend to stay at rest. This would be great. I could slice it. Okay, but I'm going to use this to illustrate the other side of inertia, which is that an object at moving tends to continue moving. I'm going to have it move at a steady pace, straight line toward the wall. If I go slow, it's going to be a problem. It's going to fall because of that nuisance, gravity. If I go fast, okay, it goes pretty much at a straight line at a steady pace. I'm going to get in trouble with the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Fruit. All right, so I'm going to have the banana go, and it's going to encounter the knife this time. And for some reason, I'm not going to be touching it anymore when that happens. All right? I didn't do it. The banana committed suicide. I got the banana moving. It was moving at a steady pace, straight line, according to inertia. Okay. With that, then, I'll stop for the day. We'll pick it up on Friday.